Yeah.
So my
So
intro was not included, but David,
yeah.
thank you for joining us and telling us more about Ride Illinois and the I Can Bike There.
Yes. So I'll start with a quick overview of Ride Illinois. I know some of you are already members. We've been around since 1992. Celebrated our 30th anniversary last year. I joined as executive director in October of 2019. So I always like to say, right before a pandemic, what a great time to learn, to have to find new funding sources, et cetera. And I came from a background of educational publishing. So biking, bike education, advocacy was like the passion thing for me. And so when Ed Barsati, previous executive director, decided to step down, I threw my hat in the ring. What I didn't know coming in was um, what I see as some shortcomings of the organization. We were kind of set up as a big old club, like a statewide club. And because I have been a bike commuter for going on 20 years now, I like to see different things on my bike. I'm not fast, my bike's not light. I wanted to figure out how do we connect with, and I know not that we've solved it, how do we connect with the everyday person, right? And certainly what Working Bikes is doing is taking it like to the utmost level. So over time, now 3.5 years, and it is a slog, is trying to kind of right size the organization to reach out to basically not just middle-aged or older white males who ride on the weekends. Like, how do we reach all people who ride bikes for all reasons? And there's so much going on in Chicago, which is fantastic. And it's like, but I have many board members downstate who like remind me, like, we're a statewide organization. So sometimes I have to like put the brakes on things I personally want to do and invest some of our time in other initiatives. We're a small organization, just 2 full-time staff right now. We hope to grow. Our board just adopted a new strategic plan, and the number one goal is to greatly reduce and eventually eliminate bicyclist fatalities. How that's going to be done is not right. I think we're all working on that, right? So we don't have it figured out. We don't have all the partners, but we had to have something to anchor the organization behind. Quick note about our board: it's 15 board members, 8 of whom have joined in the last 2 years, actually just over a year now. The board, which used to be bicycling enthusiasts or friends of a friend, is now really expanded to professionals, to people all around the state. It's more diverse than it was before, and it's bringing different perspectives. So this is that long-term strategy that we've kind of been working on. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction. And the I Can Bike There campaign, just to give you a quick kind of synopsis of where that came from. Has anyone seen the documentary Bicycle Revolution? It was out several years ago. All right, so this quick rundown of the documentary. It was a community college in Southern California, I believe, and the instructor was taking his students to different communities in Southern California to experience the good, the bad, and everywhere in between when it came to biking. And at the end of the course, all the students had to present a poster. And there was one of the students, a young woman, who said, now before I go anywhere, I ask myself, can I bike there? So the question of can I bike there has been like, it's been like this bug in my mind now for years. Like, how do we wrap that into something that can inspire and empower people who are kind of, maybe on the fence? When talking about a statement to anchor the campaign on, we decided instead of going with a question, let's go with a empowering statement, right? I can bike there. I can't bike there. You notice on the stickers and that it's the bike is bold in all caps. Fast forward to March, we was out at the National Bike Summit and chatting with Cleverhood, the rain jackets in that. So they were there. We're talking about, hey, we got this idea. They love it. So we may partner with them at some point, Trevor. Like, met Maggie and Trisha, who developed the app called Points with a Z. It's supposed to be ways for bikes. So that all kind of happened. In the meantime, we were out of stickers and buttons, and I didn't want to just order the same stickers and buttons. So I said, well, let's go with I Can Bike There. And we did a little bit of design. We ordered all the stickers and buttons, which of course have Ride Illinois' website on there. Then Trevor contacted us and said, hey, we want to do more. We should partner more on more things. And so we talked about a few different topics and maybe some other bike shops that might be interested in being collection points. And then we just talked about I Can Bike There. And you immediately gravitated to it. It wasn't long after that, I said, well, what if we loop points in as well? So now you've got a place for people to get their bikes and get their bikes fixed. You've got an organization with, our bike safety quiz. We're doing some advocacy and education work. And now you've got an app that can tell you how to get places. And that was kind of like, that's kind of where it coalesced. We've been meeting now for maybe a month or so, via Zoom, talking about how do we go about building this thing. Maggie from Points built the website. She also, I guess, did the Google form. Gabe from Working Bike secured I Can Bike There on TikTok, and we got it on Facebook and Instagram. So kind of we purchased the domains. So the groundwork was there. And then just over the last few weeks, we've kind of been pulling together the details, DNS settings for the website, and, things that you don't really think of. And then on Saturday, we kind of officially launched the campaign. Call it a soft launch, call it a, whatever you want to call it, but it's out there. The site is live. The social media presence is all live. And what we're asking people to do in the end is send us a photo and tell us about your everyday practical utilitarian trip that you're taking by bike. And we've had 27 submissions already, some of which are people we know, right? So the reason for the stickers and the buttons is just to kind of promote the campaign and then to encourage people, either because Trevor's having all kinds of conversations with people already, like, hey, you rode your bike here, tell us about it. So it's either someone took an everyday trip by bike and we want to hear about it, or it can be used to kind of encourage those that are maybe on the fence to think differently about their bike. So if we fast forward 5 years, I really would like Ride Illinois to be positioned as the organization, and this is one of our new vision bullet points, if you will, that makes biking an option for everyday mobility in Illinois. And so now we got to think urban, suburban, rural, lots of spaces in between, but that's kind of the direction we're heading. Casting a wider net, what kind of metaphor do we want to add in there? But this campaign, I think it has all sorts of potential. And I feel like, and it's not meant to make money. It's not, that's not the point behind it. It's really meant to empower the people that we all interact with. So, it's not even a week yet. I feel like it's been a good start. We have someone helping with the social media posts, but when it comes to ideas, suggestions for improvements, whatever, I feel like this is version 1.0, and it can only, with a little bit of, TLC, it can only get better. So is that kind of
and
where we're at?
I'll just add, I love it, and it fits so naturally within Working Bikes. Like bikes are cool for everyday trips. That for us, it seemed like a good excuse to go out and collect those stories and really celebrate the people who are already doing it, try to bring more people into the fold to use bikes for everyday trips. And to launch, it's not just us, but also some other partners around there. So we have Reddy, who's bringing the work crews over and has work crews all throughout the city, joined on as a launch partner. So they'll be collecting some stories. And Lasse will also be collecting stories from Dave's network, Bike Peoria.
Yep. And Elgin Community Bikes.
Yeah, so a small but mighty cohort on the ground level And then I think the idea is to add more people into it. And it's fun. And I think that would be the message to others here, collecting those stories. Like you see somebody roll up on a bike, and if you got a button and a sticker and say like, hey, can I ask you about the bike? The few people I've talked to have been like super happy to talk about it. And it's a nice conversation starter. And then you can share the picture and kind of share the idea that bikes are good mode of transportation. Yeah.
I don't need to tell you guys this, but outside of Chicago in particular, or Chicagoland, people don't think about bikes as transportation. Again, it's kind of a realization for me now traveling around the state. And so we really need to change that mindset in order to, well, we would like to, we don't need to, we would like to change that mindset, right? Because we all know how many good things can come when more people are riding bikes. I won't drone on, but yeah, speaking to the choir here, but that's kind of that behavior change and mindset change that we really want more people to think about. So any assistance from you all getting the word out, Instagram, Facebook, and TikToks at some point, we got it, but nothing on it yet. So yeah, that's kind of the idea, is just, we find those people and hopefully it kind of sustains itself. So there is regular postings and people, again, can be inspired by what you're all doing.
And Karim is one of the
Karim, I just made the connection. We met at Bike Out Negativity, and like, Karim, yes. Like literally when I saw your silhouette out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, all these stickers and buttons, you guys can do with it what you will. The next batch that is purchased, let's say we are able to raise some money through, say, like Cleverhood sales or something like that. They will have the icanbikethere.org URL on them. This so happened, so things don't always work out timing wise. But the very first news story, and we're going to keep it this way on the Ride Illinois website, is about the campaign. So technically people will see it first thing once they get there.
Yeah, icanbikethere.org.
Icanbikethere.org, yes. We have .com and .net, again, just to kind of grab it, but the .org is the URL we're going with. So check it out, and please, again, any suggestions, like, oh, why are you guys doing, we're open, and we're meeting briefly Friday morning. Kind of.
Any questions, thoughts, online or in the room?
I guess this might be like a larger discussion. I was curious. I'm happy to talk to you, maybe not tonight, but get in touch about like other partners you're looking to get in touch with. If you have contacts in local, state, regional governments, or even just like citywide, like Ashford Transportation Alliance, like those kind of partnerships, or if you have contacts, or if I'm sure like we have plenty of contacts to make those kind of connections, because I think it's awesome. Like I love biking places, and I think like there are a lot of people around the city, a lot of organizations that like can kind of pull into the fold, and kind of making those partnerships is the first step to kind of explode in a little bit.
Like we called them key partners, which is Working Bikes, Points, and Ride Illinois, and then we had launch partners, like people that would get behind it to kind of help as we first got it off the ground. I think the next discussion we should have is like, who do we want as partners? Do we want, for example, a trek shop, or are we really looking for community-based organizations that seem to naturally share the message already versus? So I think that's a conversation we need to have, and it could be other organizations like Active Trans for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and there's all kinds of organizations. I was at an event in Wilmette the other week, and who helped us? The Bike Walk Wilmette. I'm part of Bike Walk Highland Park. There's a lot of separate communities that have bike. They're not bike clubs. They're advocates for biking and walking in their communities. So that would be a good place to reach out to too.
Yeah, if we can anchor around the statement, right, I think there's lots of potential there. Oh, yeah.
because they're very much about like doing experiences around Chicago. So less like practical cycling in terms of like getting somewhere for like transportation to work, but like exploring Chicago on a bike
Yeah.
Chicago line. Like they're all about all of their volunteers and people there. Like you love them if you haven't met them.
I know Matt Weiss quite well. Who's a,
They're great people and they're always out.
I think we should start collecting a list, and maybe what we can do, Trevor, is whether it be Friday or some other time, we've been doing a lot of shared docs, right?
Yeah.
Google Docs and stuff like that. People just feed into because we feel like we got it to 1.0, but we want to make sure that we're thinking about how this might evolve and improve and reach more people. Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
And one other element I just kind of thought of is, and Trevor would know this way better than me, but since you are a statewide organization, trying to reach out to some of those partners we've had, like the folks at the University of Illinois that we used to get bikes from.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if they're a great candidate or not, but
We talked
there
about-
are folks.
It was that organization and the Bloomington something it's for
Yeah.
in Bloomington.
Yeah.
We reached out to him, never heard back from him. Granted, it was
Oh.
just email. We could do,
Yeah.
but trying to find those pockets around the state that all of a sudden, and I will say, for example, when I was out talking to Parker Thompson, who runs Elgin Community Bikes, he really wants to talk to you, Trevor, because there's things you guys are doing similarly, and so maybe it's just who knows what comes of it. Hopefully it's somewhat organic and those that are involved can benefit one way or another. So, yeah.
Just getting started.
Yeah. So we'll Alex.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to
And-
chat.
And I, as mentioned, so this is a membership organization, so I certainly encourage any of you to consider joining Ride Illinois, and the Active Transportation Alliance, too, is a great organization, but I'm a member of Ride Illinois and have been for a few years, and I'm looking forward to your next conference. When is that?
Oh yeah, the bike summit will be next year, but kind of in the same vein, I'm asking of our board, should it just be a bike summit? Should it be a community mobility summit? It could go any number of ways, but something will happen next year.
You don't know where? Yeah, okay, great. We're looking forward to hearing.
Cool.
Keep us in the loop and.
We appreciate your partnership. Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. And Dave, you are welcome to stay for the whole meeting or for Kareem.
Karim, yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And thank you, Kareem, for joining us and for being one of the first people featured in the I Can Bike There campaign and for contributing stories from Sierra Leone. So we have some of the health workers who you've gotten bikes that have come from Chicago who will now be featured in I Can Bike There. And thanks for sharing their stories. But you spent 2 weeks in Chicago and gave a great presentation that we captured on video. Some people in this room were here when you spoke. Was that Tuesday before last?
Yeah.
And now that we're only one time zone apart, we wanted to take this opportunity to have you at our general meeting and hear a little bit more from you. Maybe get some reflections from Chicago, description of how the container we loaded here could impact your work in Sierra Leone. And if anybody has questions, follow-up questions from your time here, it'd be great to have you answer them. So first off, thoughts on your time in Chicago?
Yeah. And first of all, I want to say I enjoyed my time in Chicago with support of walking bikes, and I think which was very great. And with the work you guys are doing, it is amazing. I never knew, like, I was just thinking you are only supporting international work, not knowing that you are supporting the community of Chicago massively as well, which I'm so impressed with. And also, like, working with the volunteers and the team, they are loading up the container was amazing. And I want to tell all of you that the container will arrive in Sierra Leone this month around the 26th, and it will arrive in the port of Freetown And when it arrived there, it would be driven down to a warehouse where the bikes could be distributed to shops. Of course, around 470 bikes was loaded in the container. And out of those bikes, 120 will be going to our programs, of which like the one-day workshop program where we support girls and boys who walk 6 to 7 miles every day to come to school. And also part of those bikes will also support community health workers, traders and farmers to bring their crops to the market. And the rest of the bikes will be distributed to shops across the country, of which generally I have 12 shops in the country. And the biggest one is in Lonsa, where I run the operation with other shop managers that are working with me. So with that, the general buyers of the country always enjoy getting bikes from us, and of which also we inspired of teaching them the bike skills of like what I saw in Walking Bikes Warehouse, teaching some of the volunteers. And so, most of the time, people buying bikes from our shop, we also give them the opportunity to play with tools, because their first time they never touch a tool and they just riding a bike. So giving them that opportunity is also great in our work. And some of the parts loaded in that container would be highly help to support some of the bikes, Walking Bikes has been sending for us. For example, like the tires. We loaded lots of tires in that container. We loaded lots of wheels, and these are the parts that will help sustain the old bikes, Walking Bikes has been sending to us with Village Bicycle Project. Then with the bicycles, some of the e-bikes we loaded in the container will be used by my team to coordinate programs in our village. For example, community schools and other organization that applies for our program with the e-bikes, is very easy for our staff to go there, and it costs us less as an organization. And the tools we get from the Chicago Tools Library also we will use to support our bike shop mechanics, upgrade them with tools, then also with the new mechanics we are going to train. Then also in the community in general, we'll support other people that has other skill that we use some of those tools, because there are different types of tools that we get from the Chicago Tool Library through the support of Walking Bikes. Then like the kickstands and the leather we also use to always unload the bikes when the container arrive. Of course, you will see that that's why I was trying to do them, and I will send you pictures when the container arrive. Then the visit in Chicago in general that I made was to learn what Walking Bikes is doing, and to learn where the bikes are coming, and to know some of the team member, because over the years where I have been only talking with Trevor, like having meeting, requesting several parts, and the communication has been good until this time when I arrived and I realistically understand the good work of Walking Bikes. And maybe it's a request. So like from what I saw there, which impresses me so much, I would like to send like 2 mechanics and bike shop manager for Walking Bikes to train them. So like it can be like you also impacting international mechanics that learn from Chicago, which is gonna be like my next plan after I return back to Sierra Leone. And also in the relation of my time in Chicago, like the things that I think like I also enjoyed there in the warehouse with, especially with Trevor, like, I don't know, maybe the whole team, especially I forgot your name, please. This lady. Okay, yeah. So like what like asking me, what do you want in the container? What do you want? And with Trevor, tell me anything you want. I think I enjoy that so much because it gives me the idea for you working bikes also to learn what your partners need in Sierra Leone that always will help our work. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. And it was really great that, some of the things that I said I want was loaded in the container. And I think working bikes is gonna improve on the next container. Even if I'm not there, they just reflect that. Karim requested for this the last time when he was there, and it's going to be loaded in the container. Then the biggest surprises about Chicago, I think the my biggest surprises for the entire Chicago community is, for me, the community is very supportive to what walking bikes are doing, and also wise walking bikes are also supportive to the community. For example, when I went to the community ride in that evening on the Saturday, like almost most of the people that I talk to, they know walking bikes and they have been volunteer for walking bikes, which I was so impressed about. And also seeing walking bikes, donating bikes back to the community, it's like a kind of good exchange between the community and the people. Thank you, Trevor, for doing that good job. I think I was impressed with that. And my favorite experience in the entire trip in Chicago was the rides, especially I using the bike in a city where I have never traveled. I enjoyed that so much. And also, I enjoyed the last Saturday of my trip. I'm doing the Afrigo ride cycle course. I enjoyed that. Thank you, Trevor, for organizing that for me. I enjoyed that so much in my entire trip. And I enjoyed the food. Trevor and his wife was cooking as well, including my last host, Lee and Emmy. I enjoy staying with them. It gives me a lot of experience as well. Thank you for that. Then
And the Major Taylor Bike Club and the barbecue.
yes, of course. And I interact with them, and I had lunch with them, and which was very great. I enjoy meeting short people group like that as well. And the reflection that I will have in my trip, like I'll never forget those rides, especially the community ride, like we put the balloons on our head, and the guy um um having the big box in the three-wheel bicycle playing the music. I think I'll never forget that. Then I will never forget the day I did the presentation on the Wire House, telling people about the work that we are doing in Sierra Leone. I'll never forget that day. I think it's gonna be an everlasting memory day for me, and I wish I can come back next year and do the same thing. Then I would tell my staff about what I learned, like, team building and, team management from what I saw. Trevor working with 21 staff in the White House was very amazing. And it gives me an idea, like I kept telling him, in Sierra Leone, presently, I have like overall 50 staff that I'm working with. And when it comes to the tour, I have like 200 staff I'm working with. So like seeing Trevor doing the same thing here, like organizing with the community, working with this team, I think it gives me more idea to go and tell back my team home for what walking bikes are doing. I will tell them like Trevor, when I see Trevor, I see him like what I'm doing in in the community where I live. So this has been an amazing journey and an amazing experience, an amazing people to meet, an amazing organization that not only supports international work, they support also their local community. So far, so good. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You give me way too much credit though, because this is the whole team here, and I'm glad you got to interact with everyone and serve multiple roles when you were here. So like, not only were you riding in that community ride, but you were essential to fixing up, I don't know, a dozen bikes that ended
Yeah.
up going out to people who needed them that day. So thanks for jumping in everywhere we kind of fit you in here. And
Yeah,
you're
and
definitely welcome back. I know
and
you-
thank you to the Iron Lady, very hardworking, loading the bikes and working with the volunteer. You are amazing. You are so strong. I can't believe you can do that. Thank you for that. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that covered a lot. Thank you for
Yeah.
the reflections on the time here. Are there other questions? And that was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. So it's been great having you participate before in these meetings, and it's great to have met you. And I encourage you to continue to do the amazing work you're doing, of course, in Sierra Leone in general, but also how you send us pictures of the bride and groom on bicycles that we sent. So you motivate us. And the more you can communicate to us and send us pictures and or video of who receives the bikes, it not only motivates us, but then it provides stories for us to tell to people to motivate them to give us more bicycles. All the bike shops that go out of their way to store the bikes, when we can tell them that we're shipping the next time to Karim in Sierra Leone, and they know about you. And they know about the power of the bikes that you have in Sierra Leone. So I encourage you, and I know you will because you're super capable of it, to continue sharing your story in Sierra Leone and making it real for us.
Thank you very much, Phil. I will continue. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I will continue doing that by your support and the entire support of Walking Bikes. And thank you, Phil, for accompanying me on the AfriGo ride. Thank you for giving me the support. I really appreciate that. And I think you inspired me so much more, especially when I go down the hill, you shouted, Sierra Leone, Karim from Sierra Leone. And I think I enjoy that. Thank you. I will keep giving you what you want. I will keep giving you what you want. And please don't hesitate to ask me for the material that you want, that will support your work and that will also support our work back home in Sierra Leone. Thank you for that.
Perfect. We appreciate the communication and all you do, Karim.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. Applause.
Yay! Well, again, we really appreciate our local and international partners participating in these meetings. It's an important part of these meetings to inspire us. And thank you very much. And if you want to continue participating, but we understand if you need to leave. We're going to move on now to
That's your out. Yeah.
8:00. Yeah, we got a long
meetings.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, and by the way, are you going to leave your buttons here? So I encourage that every time somebody buys a bicycle, because it's true, now they can bike there. Maybe they couldn't before, but they just got a bike from us. They can bike there. So we won't even charge them extra.
No.
So
Good to see those of you that I've met before. You're the one that's being welcomed. I run these in.
You're on there.
yeah.
Thanks,
Good to
Dave.
see you guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks a lot. Great to see you, Dave.
I think Josh is up there. Get you. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to the approval of the minutes. Dave, who so well produces these after every meeting, we all have the minutes from last time, and does anyone have any comments about